Hello, this is Katy Sissine with FYNTV.com in LJ, Georgia. And welcome to the Katy Sissine Show, the very first episode. First of all, you can see my New Year's attire. I want to wish everyone a happy New Year's. Welcome to the new year, 2017, finally. It's going to be the best year yet. And I'd like to talk to you about my show. So again, welcome to the Katy Sissine Show. This show is all about addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. And what I mean by that slogan is that on my show, we're going to be addressing the fact that too many Americans are politically uninformed. And because of this, which has become an epidemic, most Americans are highly susceptible to believing false information. So we have a democratic population that is supposed to elect its government for itself, but yet they're either politically clueless or even worse, they're brainwashed by the misinformation supplied by the media, the fourth branch of government, the middleman, whatever you want to call it. Now, recently, Denzel Washington, if we can pull up a photo of Denzel Washington for our viewers here. So recently, Denzel Washington expressed how he resents the media, actually. And it's very ironic. I'll explain it to you. So he acknowledged that fake news in the media is just running amok after reporters falsely claimed that he switched from supporting Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump. This to me is very strange. It's interesting that a Democrat like Denzel, accused of being a Trump supporter, would acknowledge fake news as the media was outright biased against Trump, Republican president-elect. But if we could pull up a video, we're going to pull up a video and show you exactly what Denzel said as a Hillary supporter. If we could pull that video up, it's only about a minute long.
What do you make of all the fake news? Can it affect you?
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
So the story behind this video was revealed in the Bill O'Reilly Show among many other media news outlets, and it explains that Denzel was falsely accused of supporting Trump. They explained on the O'Reilly Show. Denzel criticizes the media for producing fake news, yet the media reported that he was supporting a candidate that would agree with his stance on fake news, President-elect Donald Trump. The verdict here, Denzel Washington is misinformed. The reason that U.S. citizens, including most of Hollywood, are misinformed is that students are not properly educated about their history of America and its purpose, and neither is the general public by the media. There's a proverb, and it says, well, there's many interpretations of the proverb and many different translations of it, and we've got a picture of it right here for you. And the translation here says, remove not the ancient landmark which the fathers have set, Proverbs 22:28. It's very important that we all take history into consideration for the future and moving forward as to how we should govern our democracy. Because most Americans lack sufficient historical knowledge and political research, Americans are easily swayed by the media to believe just about anything and behave in whichever way the media tells them that they should. Without individual research, an individual is more inclined to believe false information. That's just logic. And this is what's become of the majority of Americans. And according to the popular vote received by Hillary Clinton that was just affirmed in November. And there's a New York Times photo that shows the election results. and clearly shows that Trump dominated the election by a long shot, even though Hillary Clinton dominated in the popular vote with her select states. So let's talk about the American divide. Democracy in America is fundamentally based on the principles freedom and equality. The balance of freedom and equality is envisioned by many, but has yet to come to fruition. Nothing on paper seems to play out as well in the real world, and most times not even close. It is the power to do what you desire and have the same opportunities to do what you desire just as much as anyone else. But is this possible? Or are these fundamental principles of democracy incompatible? In other words, can I do what I want just as much as anyone else? Assuming that two people share the same or comparable physical and mental capacities, would we share the same or comparable abilities to achieve our respective desires? And I think it all comes down to this: that which is finding the balance between freedom and equality in order to preserve both. And that is what we're working toward as a nation in order to form a more perfect union. What's the best way to do this is the question. And what's the best way to preserve democracy, in other words? Democracy allows the people to be the government. It allows people to elect others to represent them in political decision making. We all know this. And it seems like it allows for both freedom and equality. But actually, it could go two ways, like flipping a coin. Democracy may serve to undermine both principles, which is what is actually happening today in American society. Or it could allow for the balance between freedom and equality, or at least a better balance between freedom and equality, and therefore, as I said before, a more perfect union. We all have the information available to us to participate in politics necessary to preserve democracy, but too many Americans that participate in politics today are uninformed, or even worse, as stated prior, they are misinformed. And I just want to reiterate this because it is our job as citizens of a democratic nation, of a democracy, to participate in our government and to be a part of our government. And if we're not, and if we decide that we have no significance in the system, then the system controls us. And it's absolutely pointless that we live in a democracy at all. So, as your host, I think it's appropriate that I tell you a little bit about myself and how I've come to acquire the beliefs that I very dearly uphold for our great country, the United States of America. I'm a Georgia native. My hometown is Woodstock, Georgia, and my parents left the Army, actually, to start a family in Sandy Springs at my grandmother's house. And then they moved over to Woodstock, where I was raised, in a little bubble called Town Lake. It's a nice golf, tennis community. I grew up going to my mom's tennis matches on the weekends. I grew up with all the same people from elementary, actually from preschool to high school. And we were raised to have manners and to go to church. And that's just what we did. And some people called it a bubble, but I loved my bubble and I hold it very dear to my heart. The conservative neighborhood that I grew up in was a neighborhood that taught us to respect tradition. We learned to be grateful. And so we were taught to always use our manners, please and thank you, yes ma'am, and yes sir, of course, being in the South. In my family, and the majority of families in my community, we were also taught to be grateful to God, to go to church, and to say our blessings. And everything I've got today in life, I've worked for and I've prayed for as well. I began working as a high school student when I was 15 in restaurants, as a hostess, to serving, to bartending, to food running, to whatever I could do. I saved the money I had earned after a few years to buy myself my first car in cash. By this time, most of my peers already had cars bought for them by their parents, and that was fine. You know, I was always busy in sports and working and doing whatnot. So after a few years, in my senior year, I was finally able to buy my own car. And I still remember that very day that I wrote the check for the car and was handed the title, and it was all mine. It was an unforgettable feeling, and I remember the exact moment. And for me, it was well worth every missed football game and house party. And also, in addition to getting my own first car, I've got a photo from my very first trip to Seville that I'd like to show y'all right here. And I saved money to visit Spain for a 2-week intensive language learning program with a partial scholarship that I'd received from completing an essay. And I do speak Spanish now as a second language. That year I was the only student from my high school that actually sees the opportunity to travel abroad that year. And possibly the first, but I would have to check back with my teacher, Senora Larota, to be sure on that. But my class, the 2011 class, did pioneer the advanced placement Spanish class for our high school, which I'm very proud of that I got to be a part of that. And it was actually half Spanish speakers, native Spanish speakers, because there weren't enough kids in our school that had gotten up to the advanced placement level. So I love being bilingual. It's made me very adaptable in all different types of facets, and I've always loved working and learning in general. Most of the time, working as a waitress didn't even feel like work to me. I met so many people over the years and look forward to learning from new strangers that became friends. And I also enjoyed being one of the few high schoolers with their own disposable income. Most of my friends had to ask their parents for money because they didn't work. So anyway, you know a little bit about myself. I started working in high school and grew up in a basically small town surrounded by like-minded conservatives and religious people. And we are going to wrap it up for a quick commercial break here very shortly. If you could stick with us for more information, and we'll get into some more juicy topics here about current events.
Looking for in a vehicle, start your search at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. We've simplified the process so you can move on to what matters, your family.
El Rey and Elijah.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Elijah.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Elijah, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. and later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian, or listen to jazz, or try my hand at needlework, or open a door for a beautiful woman, or read a human interest story, or make dessert wine, or ride a wild horse, or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last, especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza, proof that no one outpieces the hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Better days ahead. If you've been waiting for the biggest sale of the season, this is it. 20% off MSRP, plus huge bonus discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now get a Silverado Crew LT from just $29,900 or a loaded new Malibu LT from just $19,900. Every 2016 Chevy up to 20% off MSRP, plus Days holiday bonus discounts. Find new roads at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Merry Christmas.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow, and then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza, proof that no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Welcome back to the Katy Sissine Show on FYNTV.com. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at KatyFYNTV. And we'll also be posting this episode live, this live episode on YouTube right after it airs. So you can check that out anytime. So, as I was talking about before, I grew up in a conservative neighborhood and it was very traditional, going to church and saying our manners. And grew up with all the same kind of people. And growing up in that neighborhood with conservative parents, I just naturally identified myself with being conservative, with being a Republican. But I became skeptical of being conservative when I was in school. And I also became skeptical in my free time spent watching TV or on the internet. You know, when I was younger, AOL was getting very popular, Instant Messenger. A lot of certain video games. I was playing computer games. I grew up playing Nintendo. I grew up in the age of the boom of technology. And so I was exposed to messages everywhere. And these messages had a liberal bias. And I was highly unaware of that through any medium of the media. Of course, we're talking the mainstream media that consistently advocates liberal beliefs. And it constantly advocated the liberal agenda without my being aware of it, which is still happening today, especially to the young kids like I was then. We saw countless examples of the dominance of the liberal agenda in the media throughout the 2016 election with a high bias toward Hillary Clinton. She's been supported by Hollywood. There's a picture of her at the Cleveland Clinton campaign rally that took place November 4th of this year. And you see her with Jay-Z and Beyonce. There have been memes made of this photo that say, this is what desperation looks like. It seems very unprofessional to me that a politician who was the first lady is working with the likes of Jay-Z and Beyonce to promote herself. And also, what's even more strange is that she upholds that she would have been the first female president, but yet the females that she has working with her degrade the female image. If you listen to some of Beyonce's lyrics, they're not exactly what you would call wholesome. And the same exact thing goes for Jay-Z. So the fact that she's saying that she's touting we should support a female as the first president, and this is something that's going to empower females in society, but yet she's working with women that degrade women through their music in the same American society. It's very inconsistent, and I don't think it was good for her campaign at all, in spite of the demographics that she was obviously targeting, young kids. So what might have happened? Let's backtrack. As I stated, aside from the media, I really became skeptical of being a conservative like my parents had raised me to be from school. And that's where I spent most of my social hours of my childhood, like most other kids, at least those who aren't homeschooled. I was very highly influenced by my teachers. I saw them more than I saw my own parents, like most kids that I grew up with. And I looked up to my teachers. And not because of their political beliefs, but because they were my teachers and they taught me a lot of things, and I looked up to them as smart people who I would be comfortable taking advice from. And it seemed that they were evidently permitted to express liberal beliefs in class, because personally, I can't really recall verbatim one teacher that expressed any kind of conservative beliefs while I was in school, from grade school all the way up to high school. In college, I did see some professors express conservative beliefs, but it was very slim compared to my professors that expressed liberal beliefs. And this was very strange because I thought I knew I was a conservative, but yet I had these role models in school, my teachers, that were telling me otherwise. I recall various teachers that preached about progressive, liberal ideas in class. Almost too many. It seems as if the teachers that are also government employed, and that's no coincidence at my public school, were taught to be liberal just as they were teaching me. So I was unaware that I was being fed this liberal information and this liberal knowledge and being indoctrinated into this new progressive liberalism that's undermining democracy without my even knowing it, and my teachers were as well. And because our parents and our teachers in my community were at odds politically, it was a very strange dynamic. My peers and I did not openly talk about politics because, well, we saw each other at school. And if we didn't see each other at school, we saw each other at home. So we weren't going to discuss politics at school because we knew that our teachers were liberal and we knew that our parents at home were conservative. So we didn't want to say anything wrong because we were young and we didn't really know, the exact platforms of the liberals and the conservatives as well as they would as adults. And the same thing went for being at home. When I was at home, I didn't feel comfortable telling my parents what my teacher taught me at school because I didn't want to stir anything up. That's just me personally. Maybe other kids talked about it, but from what I saw, it was something that was kind of taboo. The teachers preached to us, our parents preached to us, but it was taboo for us to talk about because we were stuck in the middle. I always felt like, and this is the best way I can express it, was that there was a political tug of war between our parents and our teachers, with us kids caught in the middle. So I just thought it best to conform however was appropriate at the time being. If I was in class, when I was in class, and my teachers were talking about liberal beliefs, I nodded my head yes, and I tried to see their perspective. And with my parents, I did the same exact thing. I really didn't know who was right. And it took a long time for me to figure out my own beliefs after being told this and told that from two totally opposite sides of the spectrum for so long, for nearly my whole life, for most of my life up to this point. I was not old enough at the time, as I stated before, nor did I have the time to research in order to form my own opinions on political matters. And by the time that I was ready to go to college, I'd considered myself to be politically undecided. But I was 18. I was old enough to vote at that time. I was old enough to vote by my senior year in high school. But I had no real opinion for myself. I was a chameleon, basically, that conformed to the color of my surroundings at the time for my own security, just to stay out of conflict. I had to learn about politics for myself, and I was finally able to do that and given the opportunity to study politics in college. So, political science. And if we can get up our brainwash photo in the background, let's check that out. Very nice. Mainstream media has brainwashed the West, has brainwashed the U.S. And because of Americanization and globalization, this phenomenon has become nearly global. As long as you're a democracy, or that you say you're a democracy, you're aware of this brainwashing and you have been affected by it no matter where you live in the world. If you've seen any movie produced in Hollywood, if you've listened to any music from anywhere in the U.S., you've been affected by this. So this is when I decided that I was going to study political science, because although I knew I was unaware, I wasn't sure that I was going to study it. I was in a freshman seminar in college, and I had this great professor who was a free thinker. He didn't really sway us to be liberal or conservative. He didn't get too political, which is something that I liked about him. And he advised us as individuals to study one thing in college, whatever we wanted. He said, study whatever interests you the most, because that's what's going to make you happy. And if you're doing what makes you happy, then you're going to be the best person that you can be, the best version of yourself, because you're getting up in the morning to do something that gives you purpose. And immediately I knew that I wanted to get to know more about politics. And it's weird because my whole life, I thought I would go to college for music or something in the arts because I love being creative and I love to sing, but I didn't. And why didn't I? After all, it was easy for me, so why wouldn't I go and study something that came so easily for me? Well, because you can't teach someone about something they already know how to do. That's the way I see it. I knew how to sing. I knew how to talk about music. I knew my own individual opinion on music, but I could not say that for politics. But I had a passion for politics because it affects every single person in the world. Some people don't like music, and some people will never be emotionally affected by music, but politics is going to affect every single person in this world. And that's what was so appealing to me about politics, is it gives you the ability to actually make a difference in the world and to improve humanity. So I knew I could already hold that conversation about music and have my own opinion, but I wanted to be able to do that with politics in order to influence others to be more politically informed. And it's something that I felt like I needed to do. Like I said, I was 18, I was legally permitted to vote, but I had zero proper education to do so for my own sake and for my own beliefs. And as a result, I was politically apathetic. And I think today, I truly believe that most of the students that I go to college with right now are truly politically apathetic because they don't understand it. And I can't stand being apathetic to anything. I'm a very passionate, very emotional person. As you may be able to tell already, I couldn't stand not understanding politics. It affects everything. It affects everyone. And that made me hate politics. This is why nearly every young person, and even many adults, say they hate politics, because they've not been made or have not had the time to make themselves competent enough to understand this. And I would like to get into more about why this is going on in our society. And as my viewers, I would like us to work together to do more research on our own in order to understand politics better. And you're listening to Katy Sissine on the Katy Sissine Show, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. I look forward to getting back to you and discussing more.